At the height of the Cold War, he vanished in the heart of Vienna, a former Soviet commander, an American agent, a man with two names and too many enemies. He kissed his wife goodbye, said he would be back by 10, and disappeared into the night forever. That night, everything went wrong. The meeting location was across from the U.S. consulate. His companions were officers who knew his past, and most importantly, the CIA made a decision no one ever took responsibility for. What happened inside that car? Why his disappearance was hidden for decades? And how did a man who escaped the Soviet Union end up alone in the center of a game where no one ever wins? The operation failed. The agent vanished. But the most terrifying part is not that. The most terrifying part is why he was really sent to that meeting. Watch until the end. This story shatters the myths of espionage and reveals the true price of loyalty when you live between two worlds. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. You are not here by accident. He wasn't always Nicholas Shadran. Born Nikolai Fedorovich Artemonov in 1928, Leningrad, his family had once known comfort before the revolution swept it away. His mother was a teacher, his father a mechanical engineer. Young Nikolai excelled in school, drawn to books with an intensity that impressed his teachers. At 13, fate intervened. Selected for the prestigious Naval Secondary School on Vasilyevsky Island, his path seemed carved in stone. He would serve the Soviet Navy with distinction. But Leningrad's 900-day siege carved deeper marks on his soul. Watching neighbors disappear into the night, trading family heirlooms for scraps of bread, losing his beloved German shepherd to the war effort, dogs trained to run at enemy tanks with explosives strapped to their backs, then watching his mother quietly slip away from starvation. Nikolai survived, but something fundamental had shifted inside him. The boy who'd been taught to trust the system had seen its true face. He'd been told that enemies were everywhere, that he should be ready to denounce even his own family if necessary. Now he understood that sometimes the greatest enemy might be the one asking you to make that choice. Still, he excelled. Graduating from the Frunze Naval Academy in '49, finishing in the top 15% of his class. By 27, he was commanding a Soviet Red Banner Baltic Fleet destroyer, the youngest Russian ever to hold such a position. His ship represented the Soviet Union on official tours to Copenhagen, Malta, and England. But beneath this perfect surface, doubt was growing. The Hungarian Revolution of '56, Poland's brutal suppression. Each event added another layer to his quiet resentment of the system he served so brilliantly. October '58 brought Nikolai to Gdynia, Poland, where his ship was assigned to train Indonesian sailors. The Soviet government was a strong financial backer of the Indonesian regime, and this was supposed to be routine duty. Instead, it changed everything. Her name was Blanka Eva Gora. Recently qualified as a dentist, daughter of a Polish merchant marine officer, she possessed a beauty that stopped conversations. More importantly, she possessed something Nikolai had never encountered: absolute clarity about what she would and would not accept. Their courtship was swift and intense. The dashing 6'2" Russian commander wooed her with a confidence born of his success. Within months, they were engaged to be married. But Eva laid down terms that should have ended everything before it began. She would never, under any circumstances, set foot in the Soviet Union. Ever Poland might be under Soviet influence, but it was still Poland. That distinction mattered to her in ways that went deeper than politics. It touched the core of who she was as a person. Nikolai faced an impossible choice. His career was flourishing. He had connections within the party who would approve his divorce from his estranged first wife and his remarriage to Ava. But Ava's ultimatum forced him to confront a question he'd been avoiding for years. How much was he willing to sacrifice for a system he'd grown to despise? On the eve of his 31st birthday, sitting in the back of his official limousine, Nikolai lowered his voice and asked Ava a question that would reshape both their lives forever. Would she be prepared to flee Soviet-controlled Poland and start fresh in the West? Eva's excitement was tempered by the reality of what he was proposing. If they were caught, imprisonment would be the best outcome they could hope for. For both of them, it meant betting everything on a future they couldn't even clearly imagine. But sometimes love makes the impossible feel inevitable. Eva said yes. Nikolai's plan required every skill he'd learned as a seaman. His personal 22-foot motor launch would carry them across the Baltic Sea to Sweden. A journey of 24 hours, half of it in dangerous daylight when discovery would mean certain capture or worse. He studied currents and shipping routes with the precision of a military operation. His target was the island of Åland on Sweden's southeastern coast. Using only the stars and a simple compass, he plotted their course across waters patrolled by both Polish and Soviet vessels. The evening of June 6th, 1959 was beautifully clear. Perfect weather for what they told the young Russian sailor assigned to operate the launch was simply a fishing trip. Popov had no idea he was about to become an unwilling participant in one of the most audacious defections of the Cold War era. As night fell and the lights of the Polish coast faded behind them, Nikolai sent Popov below deck and turned the boat toward the Gulf of Danzig. By 11 that evening, they were in open water. The weather had turned violent, a squall that tossed their small boat like driftwood. But perhaps that storm was a blessing in disguise. The confused seas helped hide them from the patrol boats that would have meant their doom. Nikolai navigated through the treacherous night with a skill that bordered on supernatural. When dawn broke the next evening, they made landfall just half a mile from their intended target. The three exhausted travelers walked along the Swedish coast until they found a small fishing village where locals took them in with quiet generosity. But Nikolai made a choice that revealed something profound about his character. He left his naval uniform and his prized pistol aboard the launch, entering Sweden wearing nothing but a civilian business suit. This wasn't just about avoiding detection. It was about beginning again, completely clean. The Swedes faced a delicate situation. This was the highest-ranking Soviet naval officer ever to flee west, carrying knowledge that could reshape military intelligence. But Sweden was too close to Soviet satellites. The couple needed somewhere safer. Eva suggested America, believing she could practice dentistry there. Despite warnings about American pragmatism, Eva initiated contact with the embassy. August 1st, 1959 found them aboard a secret cargo flight to Frankfurt, then the CIA's defector reception center. 3 weeks of polygraph tests, interviews, psychiatric evaluations, results never disclosed. Landing at Andrews Air Force Base at 2 a.m. August 22nd, the Office of Naval Intelligence was waiting. Soviet Navy was undergoing its largest peacetime buildup, and here was someone who knew their capabilities inside out. Nikolai brought no documents, but carried something more valuable: current, detailed knowledge of Soviet naval technology and tactics. The name change was inevitable. too recognizable, too dangerous. They chose Nicholas Shadran, ironically from Pushkin's villain in The Captain's Daughter. By 60, Nicholas seemed settled. Married Ava, bought a home in Arlington, working as ONI consultant. But the Cold War had other plans. September 60 brought testimony before the House Un-American Activities Committee. Timing was precise, 5 days before Khrushchev's UN visit. For 2 days, makeup artists worked on his appearance. Why the concealment when everyone knew who he was? His testimony devastated Soviet credibility, revealed their first strike nuclear doctrine, exposed fishing vessels spying on American ships, made front pages across America, broadcast into communist countries. 2 years later, during Cuban Missile Crisis, his assessment of Soviet naval capabilities proved crucial to Kennedy's decisions. Shadran stated with confidence that Soviet Navy lacked range for Cuban operations. Such knowledge may have helped prevent World War III. Success brought new dangers. 63 brought Lieutenant Commander Voron to Washington, Assistant Naval Attaché Shadran knew from Naval Academy. Also knew him as highly trained agent and best pistol marksman in Soviet Baltic Fleet. Coincidence? Shadran didn't believe in those anymore. Became convinced Voron was sent to eliminate him. Years of constant anxiety, looking over his shoulder, seeing threats everywhere. Paranoia peaked during Ava's Howard graduation dinner 64. Sudden stomach pain convinced him he'd been poisoned. Hospital said stomach flu, but for a man between worlds, every ailment felt lethal. Then 66 changed everything again. Early morning call to CIA Director Richard Helms. Caller identified as Igor, heavy Russian accent, claiming KGB officer with important matter to discuss. Igor Kozlov, head of counterintelligence for KGB station, politically connected to Soviet leadership. If recruited, might help identify moles within American intelligence. 5 hours later, Washington safe house, Kozlov made extraordinary proposal. He'd been assigned to recruit Shadran as double agent, and if CIA helped accomplish this, he'd provide intelligence on KGB penetration in return. Too good to be true? Many suspected Kozlov was Dangle, fake defector, but temptation to root out Soviet spies too great. James Angleton reasoned even if provocateur, Shadran safe as long as never left United States. But convincing Shadran nearly impossible. Detested intelligence agencies, Admiral Rufus Taylor, ONI director Shadran respected, was chosen. Taylor proposed serving as double agent if opportunity arose, carefully avoiding mentioning opportunity already arranged. Shadran wrestled with decision for months. By 66, his intelligence value waning, no longer current with Soviet developments. Taylor suggested double agent role might finally earn the security clearance denied since arrival. That clearance represented validation, proof his adopted country truly trusted him. Summer 66, Shadran agreed to operation. FBI assigned Albert Turner as handler. CIA chose Bruce Soley. Within days, Igor Kozlov approached Shadran in Washington public place, meeting appearing coincidental but carefully orchestrated. Shadran played part perfectly, reporting contact and agreeing to participate. New KGB handler was Oleg Kozlov. Shadran began meeting secretly, passing chicken feed, information valuable enough to maintain credibility but not damage American interests. For 3 years, played role of disillusioned defector hoping to return home. Performance convincing enough that KGB appeared to trust him completely. 69 brought surprising proposal. First Europe trip since escape decade earlier. For any defector, international travel carried enormous risks, but Shadran seemed confident he'd convinced Soviets of loyalty. 17 days touring England and continent, genuinely vacation, no intelligence meetings, test of both cover and nerves, passed without incident, perhaps giving false confidence. 71 brought more significant request. KGB wanted Shadran meeting officers outside US for first time. Location, Montreal, close enough for comfort, but foreign soil. September 71, Hotel Bonaventure. Shadran told Ava he needed business meeting, handed her note with phone number if he didn't return. Eva knew nothing about husband's double life, no idea why such precautions necessary. Meeting went smoothly, each successful encounter drawing him deeper into increasingly difficult web to escape. September 72 brought another European trip, including Vienna stopover, beating heart of Cold War espionage. After arrival, Shadran told Ava business required overnight stay, handed emergency contact, left. Next morning returned clean-shaven, good spirits. What happened remains classified, but likely scenario-chilling. Probably taken to villa, VIP treatment, possibly high KGB rank as reward for supposed loyal service. More significantly, probably received training in sophisticated spy communications, including burst transmitter. Upon return, KGB handler arranged delivery of device with codebooks. Operation seemed reaching new success levels. FBI and CIA believed agent completely trusted by Soviets. But were they playing deeper game, allowing Shadran to believe he was deceiving them while preparing endgame? Just when operation seemed escalating, suddenly stopped. Weeks after Vienna trip, handler recalled to Moscow, contact ceased entirely. Throughout 73 and 74, no Soviet communication, Operation Withering, American intelligence wondering if blown cover or Soviets lost interest. Summer 74 brought contact resumption, cryptic calls, mysterious note delivered home, but led nowhere. No meetings, no information exchange. Frustrated, FBI directed Shadran request another high-level meeting, get operation back on track. This decision proved fateful, essentially sending agent back into lion's den when lions were hungry. December 17th, 75. 18 hours transit, Nicholas and Ava arrived Hotel Bristol, Vienna, 3 p.m. Refreshed third-floor room, went to hotel bar. 5 o'clock, Nicholas told Ava business appointment. Meeting Russian working for USA 25 years. Church steps directly across from US consulate. Perfectly safe, nothing to worry about. Eva still had no idea husband's true involvement. Walked Vienna's winter streets, returned to find call waiting, Anne Martin, not real name, Eva knew as Nicholas's acquaintance. Actually husband's CIA minder. 10:30, Nicholas knocked, enthusiastic about successful meeting. Spoke privately with Anne in bathroom, more details. Told both women asked to attend another meeting few days. Eva, seeing husband's excitement, understood this might unlock professional success he'd sought so long. No way knowing last time she'd see him alive. December 20th approached. CIA faced crucial decision. Provide surveillance for Shadran's KGB meeting, or risk detection too great? They chose to let him go alone. Reasoning seemed sound. Counter-surveillance spotting CIA watchers would expose Shadran under American control, potentially ending operation and life. Risk revealing true allegiance deemed greater than unprotected meeting. Calculated gamble haunting intelligence community decades. Night of December 20th, 75, Nicholas walked same church. Two KGB agents waiting gestured toward dark sedan. Shadran got back seat. Door closed, echoing winter stillness. Car disappeared into Vienna's maze. Nicholas Shadran never seen again. Hotel Bristol. Eva delayed dinner expecting husband's return. Waited patiently until 12:30. Then anxiety crept in. 2 a.m., nowhere seen. Called Ann Martin. Sit tight. Deadbolt door. Next morning, nervous wreck. Deep down, new husband never coming back. December 23rd, 75. Escorted by U.S. official back to Washington. Week between Christmas and New Year. Agonizing silence. Could tell no one. Any press leak might compromise minimal return chances. Months later, learned husband's double agent role. Hard believing given his espionage distaste. Evidence finally discovered attic, Soviet burst transmitter hidden away. Proof of secret life never suspected, 76 dawned. CIA scrambled understanding what went wrong. Kissinger opened Soviet communications. Ford made personal appeals to Brezhnev. Always same answer. Soviet Union no knowledge Shadran's whereabouts. Hadn't seen him Vienna December 20th. Within CIA, two factions emerged. One suspicious Shadran himself. Dramatic Baltic escape seemed too remarkable even for experienced naval captain. Wondered if Soviet plant all along. Other faction convinced genuine loyalty. Believed operation compromised. Agent kidnapped, returned Soviet Union for traitor punishment. Igor Kozlov claimed knowing nothing about disappearance. Said helped arrange December 20th meeting, but no idea fate befalling American agent. March 76, East German lawyer Wolfgang Vogel emerged claiming reliable information, Shadran alive. Soviet Union would consider return and prisoner exchange. First hope glimmer since dark December Vienna night. But false Vogel's authority withdrawn as quickly as appeared. Nearly decade later, 85, KGB Colonel Vitaly Yurchenko defected, bringing answer haunting American intelligence. According to Yurchenko, KGB's plan all along, lure Shadran Vienna, abduct, return Soviet Union for sentence execution. But something went wrong, sedan back seat. During struggle to sedate for transport, agent accidentally administered fatal chloroform dose. Man intended for public trial perished in capture's first moments. October 27, 85, two FBI agents arrived Ava's door delivering husband's passing news. But story didn't end there. Remarkable turn, Yurchenko flew back Soviet Union months later. Welcomed hero rather than punished traitor. Cast doubt everything told American intelligence during debriefing. Today, a portrait of Nicholas Shadran hangs on the Patriots Memorial Wall within the Defense Intelligence Agency. In 2019, Eva Shadran attended a ceremony where her husband was finally honored for his bravery in serving his adopted nation. Recognition that came more than 4 decades after his disappearance. But the recognition provided little solace to Eva, who understood that her husband had been sacrificed by American intelligence for the sake of an operation that ultimately led nowhere. The man who had risked everything to escape Soviet tyranny had been destroyed by the very people he'd tried to serve with such dedication. The Cold War produced many casualties, but few as personally tragic as Nicholas Shadran. He was a man caught between two worlds, fully trusted by neither, ultimately claimed by both. His story raises uncomfortable questions about the price of intelligence operations and the human cost of the great game between superpowers. Perhaps most haunting aspect of the Nicholas Shadran case is how little his sacrifice actually accomplished. The operation that cost him his life produced minimal intelligence value and failed to achieve any of its stated objectives. He became a casualty of institutional bureaucracy and interagency rivalry, as much as of Cold War espionage itself. The sedan that carried him into the Vienna night has long since been scrapped. The agents who made the fateful decisions have retired or passed away. The classified files remain sealed, their secrets protected by the same institutional thinking that led to the operation in the first place. But the questions Eva Shadran asked in her grief remain unanswered. And in a world where intelligence operations continue to place human assets at enormous risk, those questions deserve answers that may never come. Was Nicholas Shadran a hero or a pawn? A genuine patriot or an unwitting participant in someone else's deadly game? Perhaps the most honest answer is that he was all of these things simultaneously. His story serves as a haunting reminder of the human cost when nations play with shadows and mirrors, trading in secrets and lies. The cold winter streets of Vienna have witnessed many mysteries over the centuries, but few have proven as enduring or as tragic as the disappearance of the man who walked into the darkness on December 20th, 1975, and never returned to the warmth of home.